Obstacle course racing is one of the fastest growing sports in North America. Over 2 million people have participated in the Tough Mudder race alone. So who are these people, and why does the world think that obstacle course racing is more dangerous than its more traditional counterparts? In April 2013, Abhishek Sengupta drowned while participating in a Tough Mudder in West Virginia. In 2011, 2 Warrior Dash participants died in 2 separate races in Kansas City, one from an infection, the other from heat stroke. In 2012, 22 people were infected with Campylobacter coli after participating in a Tough Mudder in Beatty, Nevada, where some participants accidentally ingested water that contained traces of animal feces. It certainly makes it sound like obstacle course racing is dangerous. However, when you look at this bigger picture, you'll see that obstacle course racing is no more dangerous than traditional marathons or triathlons. First off, who are the people who are drawn to these races despite a reputation for being dangerous? The majority of the racers are weekend warriors. Very few are in what are called the elite class. These are runners who are, at a professional level in this, despite the fact that many were not professional athletes prior to joining obstacle course racing. One of the top races, actually 2 of the top female racers, were not athletes prior to this beyond, participating in high school or college sports. Amelia Boone is actually an attorney in Chicago. Rose Wetzel is a personal trainer in Seattle. They have the regular lives that they live, and then they go and race on the weekends and participate. They both participate in the Spartan race. Amelia Boone holds the title for the women for the world's toughest mudder, which is a 24-hour obstacle course race. Rose Wetzel also competed in American Ninja Warrior this year, based on she was inspired after doing obstacle course racing to take it to another level. But again, the majority of these participants are weekend warriors. They're people who have their everyday jobs. They're just living their lives, parents, singles, young, old. It comes from all over the gamut. And they're looking for something more challenging for themselves to do. I personally fall into this class. I've participated in 2 Spartan races, and my daughter completed her first Spartan this year in the 1 mile kids race. So why are people drawn to this obstacle races? First off, a lot of times it's just that they're bored with their normal workouts and they're looking for something exciting and new. The obstacle course is a great combination between the running, the 5Ks that are in the running races that are also gaining popularity these days, and obstacle course races, which run from, they remind us of our childhood playing on the playgrounds, but also give us the feel of being an elite, being a Navy SEAL. A lot of these races are founded by people who are formerly in the military and at elite levels of the military. So it gives you that challenge. Also, because of the challenge and because it's difficult, and most people look at these and go, what are you doing? You're crazy for trying these. You get that bragging right. You get that right to say, I'm a Spartan, I'm a Tough Mudder, that you did the Warrior Dash. And you have, beyond bragging rights, most of the races, you get to medal. This is my daughter's from her first Spartan race this last weekend. And she wore it all day long, and as soon as she finished the race, she was telling me that she's going to wear her finisher shirt for the first day of school. It's that bragging right, it's that physical proof, that evidence that you have completed something a lot of people won't do or won't even consider. Personally, this is my bib from my first Spartan race, and this is one that I will hold forever. It goes in a place of honor. It is beaten and battered and muddy, and that is just the way I want to keep it because it's the proof of what I went through, and I was beaten and battered and muddy by the end of the race. So you have your proof, you have your bragging rights right here. So it gives somebody something to look at and say, I did that, and draw from in the future. So also, part of the draw is that danger factor. It is something that's you haven't been, most people won't do, that they're looking for something more difficult. According to Lauren Etter, in an article she wrote in the ABA Journal in June of 2014, the waiver itself, the liability waiver that every participant has to sign before they're allowed to participate, is a proof of that danger and a draw. It is also, a lot of people refer to it as the death waiver because it does say on it that you're taking responsibility for any injury up to and including death that could happen on the course. It is accepted that you are taking a risk, that there is the possibility of these things happening, but most racers, that's part of the reason that they do that. They want to have that risk. They want to challenge themselves and fight for something more. So what are the main dangers in these races? By a study by Myrna Rail Greenberg and her associates that was published in March of 2014 in the Annals of Emergency Medicine. They went to an ER during a Tough Mudder race that was being held. There were other ERs in the area, so this was just a small grouping, a sampling, but it's still somewhat representative. There were 38 people that presented to the ER the day of the race, and of those, the majority of them were being treated for dislocations, broken bones, or vomiting due to dehydration or overexertion. There were 5 injuries that were more serious than that. 4 of those came from one obstacle, the shock therapy obstacle, where the participants wade through water amid live electrical wires that deliver up to 10,000 volts of electricity when you run into them. They're placed at such tight intervals that it's impossible to get through this obstacle without getting shocked at least a couple of times. This, for some people, did cause heart palpitations and things along those lines. And that was what 4 of those 5 more serious injuries were. And again, that obstacle is very specific to obstacle course racing. You're not going to find those kind of injuries in more traditional races. However, the more serious injuries that was mentioned, such as Abhishek Sengupta, was in the polar plunge, where he jumped 12 feet into ice water. This is actually not uncommon and not unheard of to happen in sports that involve water. In between 2005 and 2011, there were 42 deaths during triathlons in the United States. Out of those 42 deaths, 31 of them occurred in the water. So when you're dealing with a water hazard, whether it be an obstacle race jumping into it, or a triathlon where it's part of the swim and it's been specifically trained for, due to the temperature, due to the fact that it can be very cold, or other complications, that is going to be many times the most hazardous part of a race. But it is not disproportionate to obstacle course racing versus triathlons. Triathlons have actually seen more deaths than the obstacle course racing has during the same time frame. And with the popularity of these races, there are getting to be relatively equal participants in those races. The other hazards that come are much more minor. There's dehydration. In these races, you don't have a chance to rehydrate during the race very much, and so you tend to have, by the end, you're going to end up dehydrated. So you have to prepare for these races by making sure you're hydrated or slightly overhydrated before you even start. There's also the the participant judgment errors, where you overestimate your own ability or you underestimate the challenges that you're going to be facing. I actually fell victim to this at my second Spartan race, a combination between dehydration and poor judgment. I had been sick the day before the race and was unable to be as hydrated as I should have been. I still chose to participate in the race, thinking that I could power my way through it. The challenges were just as hard, if not harder, than they were the year before. The race was a little bit longer than the year before. I underestimated the challenge of the race. I overestimated my ability to just make my way through it. And 3/4 of the way through the race, I was lightheaded and dizzy, started feeling like I was going to pass out, and my legs cramped up so badly that I was not able to finish the race. Had I shown better judgment, stayed out of the race, I would not have had those problems. Had I been able to stay hydrated prior to the race, I may not have had those problems either, so it was a combination of the two. However, again, most of the injuries that happen are because of participant misjudgment. Many of these risks, though, are not exclusive to obstacle course racing. The shock therapy is exclusive, basically, to Tough Mudder, and there aren't even other obstacle races that use electricity in most of their races. The Campylobacteria issue has also been found in cycling events in Norway and in Wales and British Columbia, so that again is not exclusive. The possibility of injuries in any other sport are there. That's why there are injured reserve lists for professional sports. There's team trainers, because these things happen. So the statistics show that obstacle course racing is not any more dangerous than its counterpart. Thank you.